Everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nigerian HR Chic podcast with me. Today, we're going to be talking about something very, very crucial, very important, and then something that I think we should stop taking for granted, especially as HR professionals, and that is the GAID, General Application of Implementation Directive. It's like a guidance note for the NDPA. By NDPA, I mean the Nigerian Data Protection Act of 2023. It was released in March 2025, supposed to take effect in September 2025. And I feel like this is my duty to warn us, or rather to inform us that it's less than 60 days to implementation. So this is good time. If you thought that this was a joke, this is no longer a joke. Now we're driving into the new era of data privacy. Now I'm going to be looking at my notes a lot because it's going to be a long video. And why is it going to be a long video? I could have done this in slides and just taking my time. And I think I'm going to be incorporating that when I start talking about the implication of the Nigerian laws, the new tax laws on businesses, and then what HR professionals need to be aware of, what they need to be knowledgeable about, and what they need to do to navigate this new maze. It just feels like every other day there's a new law. But I digress. So I'm going to be talking today about the Nigerian Data Protection Act of 2023 and the new General Application and Implementation Directive, which is like a guidance note to the implementation of the act. Now, you may be asking yourself, why does this matter to HR? But then, isn't it supposed to be an IT thing or a legal thing? Yes, they're very involved, but because data is something that HR usually deals with, we talk about data analytics and everything, whether we like it or not, it's something that we need to understand the importance and then know that going forward is no longer business as usual. So from the very first day you speak to a candidate, they already have a copy of their CV. On their CVs, you have their names, you have their addresses, you have their age, their local government, you have a lot of data where they went to school, where they graduated with. Believe it or not, this is data that they are sharing with you only because they want to either work with you or intern with you. And now you're asking yourself, yeah, we've been dealing with this. There has not been any issue, but recent times we've had cases which I am going to address in separate videos where people have taken, companies to court for data privacy uh, issues, either because they felt that did not consent to certain data of theirs being used, or the data were used in a manner that you could not really say, for want of a better word, why they were being used in that manner, not necessarily illegal, but kind of in a way that you could tell that this person said they did not give their consent to this. So first things first, forgive me to look at what it is I'm going to be presenting on. The Nigerian Data Protection Act of 2023 is the legal framework, is the law governing these things. What that makes us as HR is we are the new data controllers. So now it's now saying, not like before where you just have to ask for certain data. Now you have to give a reason why you need that data. And then your employees are your new data subjects. And they have very new powerful rights. Now we're going to just go through the key principles for HR under the NDPA. One of them is we must have a legal valid basis for processing employee data. That's one. It could be, yeah, consent, legal obligation, or maybe there's a reason why the company is interested in that data, and so on. So it means that we have to be transparent about why we're collecting data. You don't just tell people, oh, update the employee information form. Tell them why you need it. It's no longer business as usual. The second thing is you can only collect it for a specific purpose. You can't just collect someone's health data. What are you doing with blood group? What are you doing with BP level? You don't need that, especially because by default, everyone's health and financial information is supposed to be confidential to them, except they give you consent to have it released to you or they release it to you. That can now be implied consent. This is me speaking as a lawyer. And then now we must only collect the data that is absolutely necessary. no more, no less. If you need this person's account details, collect the account details. Don't start asking for HMO number or asking for PFA number when you don't need that information or that data. And then lastly, as we're collecting data, we are indirectly also telling that employee that we will maintain the security of your data and make sure that it is not exposed in any way, either by our carelessness or by our negligence. Now, the action plan, which is where GAID comes in, is now that the NDPA has told us these are the key principles for HR and this is what we need to do, how are we going to implement this law? And that's where it brings it into practical. Now, bear in mind that this repeals the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation that we had before. And then it means you have to update your game. Number one, compliance audits. What does it mean? There are organizations that handle large amounts of data, and we are designating them for this video as data controllers of major importance, right? You have to have something that you call data protection audits, and then you submit a compliance audit return. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Annually. So you who is a HR professional is going to be a major part of these audits because your records and processes will be under scrutiny. Yes, dear. The second one is you need to have data protection officers. Now more than ever before, it's no longer something fancy that you tick now. It is required that because you are handling this amount of data, even if you are not a large data controller of major importance, you are required to have a data protection officer, and there will be a key partner for the HR team or department. What this means is there's an annual credential assessment for DPOs, meaning there's a continuous professional development and expertise. Now, going to privacy notices, it makes it clear that we need to provide employees with clear, accessible privacy notices. I know that I went to a law firm recently and I saw that explicitly stated on their walls, almost like if you're walking into the premises, you are consenting to the CCTV monitoring of your whereabouts or wherever it is that you're going around on their premises. It means it's not just a generic statement. It needs to explain the data we are collecting, why we are collecting the data, why we are keeping it, how long we want to keep it, and what your own rights are. This is a critical point, but this is a critical time for employee handbooks to be reviewed. It's even stated in your onboarding statements. So my company, IU Advisory Services, can handle that bit for you because now more than ever before, it is very, very important. It will shock you the kind of lawsuits that will come out of implementation of the NDPA using GAID by the NDPC, and they're not playing. The fines are as high as 10 million naira. Let that sink in. Employee surveillance. So this is a very big one. It clarifies that any surveillance within the workplace, whether you're monitoring their performance using a software or there's a CCTV, it has to be necessary and proportionate and lawful. Meaning you cannot just put CCTV in the restroom. You cannot put CCTV in their offices. You can only put the CCTV, for instance, in the general areas, maybe the reception, the hallway, but not to the point where the person feels like they are being watched. So that is why you put. So you must be also be able to justify the reason for the surveillance and that there are no other alternatives that are less intrusive. Why do we say that? You can't just put a camera now in the break room and say that there's no reason for that. Oh, because we also want to cop stealing. And then even if you must have a proper privacy impact assessment done. You see the usefulness of a data protection officer. And now data breach so let's just say it for any reason. There's a breach of employee data. What he's saying is you are required to have notify affected individuals, right? And the NDPC within 72 hours. So for reason you're a bank, you're a HR professional in that bank, and then for some odd reasons, hackers are able to gain access to information about you are required to let the customers know that there has been a data breach, but this is what we are working on. But now it takes it up a notch higher. You also have to let the NDPC know. So with these few points of mine, this is coming to the end of the first part of the video where we are talking about privacy and what HR professionals need to know in light of the new GAID 2025, which is like the implementation and the guidance notes for the NDPA of 2023. As always, I can be found on social media. I'm on TikTok, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, which is now known as X, and I am on Threads. You can hit me up if you want to join me, talk about HR related content and its intersection with the law on either of these platforms. So just shoot me an email at Ijeoma Ucheibe at gmail.com. But till I come your way very, very soon with the part two, which is going to be us wrapping up this series. This is me signing out. Bye.